It is Wednesday, May 14th, and RFK Jr. being grilled this morning in front of the House Appropriations Committee. Dems thinking they could pull their usual political tricks, not realizing, though, RFK Jr., he's not some ordinary cabinet member. He's got a deep understanding of everything that happens in his department and how the biopharma lobby works in D.C., especially up on the Hill, cutting these people down one by one. I'd say even delivering some career-ending rebuttals on a few occasions. We have the clips. Also, California in a world of pain. Gavin Newsom about to announce another multi-billion-dollar budget deficit. If you live in California, realize your government has you living paycheck to paycheck right now. That's what's happening, and it's about to get much worse. We'll explain, and more stories as well from around the country. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So RFK Jr. called to testify in front of the House Appropriations Committee this morning, going to the Hill, prepared to answer questions honestly and diligently, helping to fill Congress in on all the changes he's making to our nation's health policy, delivering on making America healthy again. But of course, Dems didn't want to ask fair or inquisitive questions. No, they were looking to score political points. The only problem, though, is all of their questions, all these rounds of questions were based on invalid information, trying to twist the truth to make it look like something that it's not, accusing RFK and Trump of cutting Medicare and Medicaid for millions of Americans or eliminating the jab schedule, and all the rest. Even Bernie Sanders trying to conflate cutting taxes for billionaires and throwing kids off Medicare, none of which is happening. Watch.
There are $235 billion in tax breaks for the top 0.2%. Do you think that makes sense when that same bill would throw 13 million people off of Medicaid? Should we give tax breaks to billionaires and throw kids and others off of Medicaid?
You're conflating the congressional bills with proposals from the president. The president
No, I'm talking
is
about
not
the
making
congressional
any-
bill. I'm talking about the bill, the reconciliation bill.
I mean, the president is not trying to do tax cuts for billionaires. He's trying to have no tax on tips and no tax for
$235 billion by
how many people, how many billionaires do you know that are making overtime or making any part of the
$235 billion. Look, it's a big bill. There are a lot of provisions in it, but you cannot deny the top 0.2% will get $235 billion in tax breaks while we cut Medicaid.
This happening over and over again this morning. Dems coming to this hearing thinking Kennedy's your typical Trump appointee, but he's not. He deeply understands everything happening at HHS, and he's got a deep understanding of the issues, and he's able to make these people look like complete fools, like when Democrat Mike Simpson tries challenging RFK on fluoride, which he has no idea about whatsoever, but RFK does. Watch how quickly he begins regretting the entire line of questioning. This is great. Watch.
If you are successful in banning fluoride, I noticed you congratulated Utah and Florida, I think, for banning it. That's up to them. They can do what they want. But we better put a lot more money into dental education because we're going to need a whole lot more dentists.
I think that, Marty McCary's concern with ingestible fluoride is that the emerging science shows the benefits to fluoride to cares and to cavity prevention comes from topical exposures rather than it was once thought that it was systemic, that if you ingested it, that the benefit came from that. We now know that virtually all the benefit is from topical, and we can get that through mouthwashes, we can get through fluoridated toothpastes. The National Toxicity Program issued a report in August, a meta-review of all the science that now exists on fluoride, and showed a direct inverse correlation between fluoride exposure, dose-related, and lower IQ. It's an issue that we have to all be concerned with. We want high IQ kids.
Mr. Hoyer,
right now.
Mr. Hoyer.
I appreciate that, and I look forward to working with you on it.
Okay.
One of the constant themes at play this morning was about Medicaid cuts. Dem after Dem trying to play politics, repeat their approved talking points that Trump's cutting Medicaid from kids, from their sick constituents, which is wrong. It's not true. The only cuts to Medicaid are from people claiming it illegally, including around 1 million people collecting Medicaid and Obamacare separately, which is illegal. You can only claim one of the two. And 1 million illegal aliens who were using Medicaid in California, which are now kicked off. That just happened. Watch RFK Jr. setting the record straight on this once and for all. Watch this.
So do you disagree with the cuts that are being proposed for Medicaid right now?
Oh, the cuts to, this is I don't know if you understand this or whether you're just mouthing, the Democratic talking points. The cuts to Medicaid are for fraud, waste, and abuse. And I'll tell you what that means. It means that because of DOGE, we were able to determine, and it's about 8 million people who would be affected. Because of DOGE, we were able to determine that there are 1 million people who are claiming Medicaid from multiple states. That's illegal. It's theft. You're not allowed to do that. There are another 1 million people who are collecting both under Obamacare and
Mr. Secretary, that has nothing to do with the budget that's
These are
actually
the only
being
cuts that are
proposed
being
in the
made.
House.
These are the only cuts that are being made to Medicaid.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. There are another 1 million illegal aliens. We announced a law yesterday, a rule yesterday, we're not going to pay illegal aliens anymore. And guess what Gavin Newsom did this morning? He said we're going to take all the illegal aliens off the California Medicaid rolls because the feds aren't paying for them anymore. So the compassion ends.
Secretary, let
when
me
he
let me
had to write
focus
the
you
check.
on the actual numbers of the
last
budget
group,
that's being
the
proposed.
final
Secretary, I
group.
regain my time. I think what you are saying is
final
absolutely inaccurate in terms of the 13 million Americans that will lose access to health care. Let me tell you, the folks in my district are not actually getting Medicaid in another state. They can't travel to get it in another state. The clinics that are providing that life-saving
Let me
care
tell you
are the last resort for
Let me
folks
tell
in
you
our
the
area.
last category. Last category is adults who are able-bodied, who refuse to look for a job, to volunteer, to get a job, or to show that they are or to take a part-time job.
I agree with time. That is
those are the
absolutely
only-
not true. The vast majority of folks in a community like mine who are on Medicaid are working. They want to work. People want to be able to make sure that
Then
they have
they're in no danger of losing their Medicaid.
That's just not true. We've seen in
Yes, it
time
is.
after time, including in Arkansas and Florida and other states, that when you put
This is a new
more
program.
red tape, yes, but we've seen this chapter before. When you put more red tape in front of people actually getting that life-saving care, you're going to prevent people from accessing health insurance and being able to go see a doctor.
Medicaid is for poor children. It's for women, for mothers, and it's for the disabled.
It is. And 13 million of those people are going to lose health insurance if this budget becomes law.
They're already losing their health insurance because of all the able-bodied people who are not looking for jobs on Medicaid.
Secretary, I'll just close by saying this. I hope that you remember the
In another story, Gavin Newsom about to announce a multi-billion-dollar budget deficit again, after promising Californians last month that he only needed an additional $3 to $4 billion to cover their shortfall, which he got last month. He did that twice. First, he got $3 or $4 billion. Then he came back the week after to get another $1 billion in loans. Well, it turns out it was a lie. His state is drastically short for 2025. He's now got California, an economic powerhouse, mind you, living paycheck to paycheck. That's what's happening. Each month, he's been short in covering your expenses, and he has to borrow more money to cover. And it's happening again. Roll the tape.
The governor is expected to announce the state will have to grapple with a budget shortfall in the billions. We don't have a specific number just yet. Now, he's expected to blame that and future budget uncertainty overall, mostly on the Trump administration and tariffs. Now, ahead of his budget presentation, the governor and Attorney General Rob Bonta today asked a court to put a pause on those tariffs as the state's lawsuit against the Trump administration on that continues. They've been arguing the president overstepped his boundaries by putting broad tariffs in place without congressional approval. The tariffs have impacted the state's ports, exports, and created uncertainty in the stock market. It's also made an impact on the state's taxes, which are major sources of revenue. They've also thrown a wrench into the state spending plan the governor will present tomorrow. Here's what Governor Newsom's Department of Finance spokesman H.D. Palmer had to say.
Let's not forget, this is the same state that was running close to a $100 billion surplus when Newsom became governor, to now running a chronic deficit Last year, they had a $56 billion deficit, even though California's constitution mandates a balanced budget. Someone explain that to me. How in the world does Newsom manage to get away with this? In another story, the Dem Party is in meltdown mode, ousting their own newly elected vice chair of the DNC. This story's wild. Their party has the worst poll numbers in history, only a 21% approval rating. And the one person who was elected and attempting to remake the party, David Hogg, elected vice chair on February 8th, 3 months ago, a 25-year-old with zero experience in national politics, coming in, announcing his idea for leading the party was to primary the old guard, all the old members, going on national television, threatening to primary Chuck Schumer and other members of Dem leadership. Well, that didn't go so well. Only 3 months into his tenure, and he has been ousted. The DNC voting yesterday 13-2 to nullify Hogg's election on the grounds of, get this, gender issues. Hogg is out. And just to put it on the record, the most memorable moment from his 3 months as DNC vice chair, in my opinion, was when Reince Priebus manages to push this kid's buttons on national television, calling him out for stealing money from the DNC. This was the moment that showed just how far in over his head he really was. Watch.
Got no message. They've got no movement. They've got no leader. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. I mean, you're defending Harvard. You're traveling to El Salvador for MS-13 gang members. But here's the point. You're taking $20 million. If I'm looking at someone, my vice chair of the RNC, taking $20 million for another effort, it's $20 million out of the DNC's pocket. You can't be on the board of the Fishing and Forest Company and on Greenpeace at the same time. There are places for the group to hold the party accountable. I think it's right.
Well, yeah, let me push back against that. This was not an MS-13 gang member, and you damn well know that.
Oh, come on.
He was not.
Okay,
and
so keep defending this guy. You're just digging
admitted
your
this was
own
wrong.
balls.
In America, we have
and
due
he's got a
process, and we
tattoo
are a
on
land
his
of
hand.
law
It's
and
illegal.
order. We are a land of law and order. And this administration is repeatedly showing time and time again, they do not care about what the Supreme Court says. They do not care about the rule of law. And you cannot defend sending people to another
CNN just
country.
did a poll that
To
showed
another
that
country where they
most
don't have
Americans
rights,
think
where
that
he's being
all
denied counsel,
illegal
due
immigrants should be
process, and so
deported,
much more.
by the way. So you're losing your effort. So if you want to try to defend the constitutionality of deporting a illegal immigrant that's here,
He checks in with
took a lot
immigration
of time to
services
come after
every
me.
single year.
He's here illegally. The Intel community, every Intel community agency and the White House say he is a member of MS-13.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.